Today I'm going to review a 3D printer pen for children and adults and let you know what to look for when buying a new one. If you haven't done so yet, make sure you follow the channel so you can see our upcoming videos. So this is a 3D pen that I purchased from Amazon. There are many like it, but this one is mine. No, there are a lot of models that in general look like this. This particular pen, and I think a lot of them online, will come with PLA filament. You can also get ABS filament, and this pen is capable of doing both PLA and ABS. You're probably going to use PLA if you're crafting. It melts at a lower temperature and is for crafts and stuff. Some of the features of this pen is the filament loading hole is right up here up top, and then you're going to feed it through that hole and it will feed all the way through to the tip. Up here you have a micro USB power outlet right here, and it did come with a plug, and you just plug it in and you can actually connect this to your computer. I did. It takes a little bit longer to heat up. It also comes with an outlet plug and you can work with it that way. It heats up a lot quicker and it's probably the best way to go, although this is kind of short, so maybe the computer is more convenient for you. I do wish the cable was a little bit longer, but it works fine. So on the side you have an LCD screen, and you're going to see whether you're running in PLA mode or ABS mode. And up at the top above that you'll see a power indicator light. It'll be red or green. And then down here you'll have a function indicator. When you feed the filament through the top, you're going to feed it through using this bottom button right here. And that button will allow the filament to run through the pen. Once it gets to the end or you want to stop, you have to push that button again. If you want to take the filament out and you're done, you press this button right here. It takes the filament out. To make the motor inside stop, you hold this down for 2 seconds. When you're ready to create something, you have to press the load button. It automatically discharges the filament and you control the speed over here. So whether slow, medium, or fast. And that's just a difference in temperature, which you'll see the temperature change on the LCD screen. And when you want to stop, you press this button over here to stop it. Down here on the bottom there's a heat nozzle. This is where the heating element is, and it does vent through these holes right here. And this is the nib, or I just call it the tip. And the tip can get very messy while you're working, so be aware of that. It also came with a stand. The stand is very cheap, and the only way the pen will stay in the stand is if it is not plugged in. If it's plugged in, it will tip over. It tips over very easily, and it's not weighted on the bottom very well, but it is what it is. They give you these silicone fingertip covers. As to clean the tip of this thing, you're going to want a silicone fingertip or something silicone to get that melted filament off the tip. When I use this, I work on top of a silicone mat, which this is a soldering mat, but it works just fine. Now I drew a design on a piece of paper, and I used this on paper, and when it dried I peeled it off and I ripped the paper. So that's not doable. Some things I will say about this pen is that when the filament comes out, it comes out pretty quick and the tip will get clogged. And I don't know if that is my fault. It very well could be. If I'm pressing down on the mat or something and it gets backed up a little bit, and then so it get clogged and it'll just start going haywire as it's coming out of the tip. That could be totally my fault. In that case, I will shut it off. I will back it out. I will take the filament out. I will pull out all the filament that's left in the tip, and that kind of clears it out, and then I start over. So it does work well for a while, but then for whatever reason it just starts squirting everywhere and it's very hard to control. I have heard that some pens are better about controlling that than others, but like I said, that could just be an issue that I have because I'm not quite as experienced as some people. With this pen, you hit the button to shut it off and it's supposed to stop. Well, the motor inside stops. It will still leak out like a 1/4 inch to maybe a 1/2 inch of filament, and it'll just kind of ball up on the end. That is a little bit annoying, and I've heard of people having issues with that. There are some pens that will retract the filament just a little bit to keep the filament from leaking out the tip. One thing I wish this pen had was the ability to control the filament myself as it comes through the pen instead of hitting the feed button and it just automatically feed through. I would rather have a button that you press and it would feed through as I had the button depressed, and when I let up the filament would stop. Instead, you gotta hit load and then speed control. I don't care much for that because that makes me work a lot quicker than I would want to, and things don't look quite as nice as they should. This pen feels well balanced when it's not plugged in, but when I plug it in, I can feel the pen pulling backward. So that's a little bit awkward. It is a little bit weighted back here, and what I do to mitigate that, I'll let the filament hang free, but I'll also hold the cord like that with my hand, and that seems to help out a little bit. So I will say that this pen does hold temperature pretty well. It doesn't jump up and down. The filament does come out steady, and like I said, sometimes it does get clogged, but it does come out at a steady rate. I don't have any major complaints about this, but if I were to buy a new pen, I would look for one with more speed options. I've heard of some pens having up to 6 speeds. That would be convenient. I would look for a pen that allowed me to have control over the filament coming out by holding down the button. That would be a very nice feature. And I'd also read reviews about pens. And I would look for one that retracted the filament back into the tip of the pen. That way you don't have as much leakage and you have cleaner lines when you're done drawing. This pen was $40, so it's not a high-end pen. Some of the better, more professional pens are going to be about $80, $90. There's one pen that I saw out there called the 3Doodler, which has very good reviews. If any of you guys have used the 3Doodler, let me know in the comments below what you think about it. If I'm ever in the market again for a pen, that's probably the one I would buy. So if you're working on a project with one of these pens and it's somewhat large, you're going to need about a mile of this filament. You're going to need quite a bit because you go through a lot. So keep that in mind. If you buy some, you might want to buy some extra filament. Maybe you can buy it in bulk at a cheaper price. So another thing about this pen is that it came with a 1-year warranty, which is great. We bought it about 4 months ago on Amazon, and it no longer shows up on Amazon. And they don't sell this anymore. Is our 1-year warranty still valid? What I would do if I was buying another pen was I would spend a little extra money. I would buy a brand that is well known. I would buy a brand that's been around and one that has good reviews, like the 3Doodler pen. Alright, I'm feeling pretty good about this, so I'm going to go ahead and plug this in. This is attached to my computer right now, so I'm going to plug this in. I'm going to see if I can make something better than what I made before. No promises, but we will see. That says ABS PLA, and we'll go with that. And it's set at 5.3, which is the fastest speed. I won't worry about that until it's ready. I do have a lot of fun using this pen, and hopefully I'll get better, and then I can use it in some future videos that I do. I cut this straight, so it shouldn't be a problem feeding it in. Plugging the USB cord into a computer does give me a little bit of portability, which I do like. Otherwise, you have to sit pretty close to a wall outlet. I had a little bit of trouble with my starting anchor point here, and you can see that because the whole thing is moving. I probably should have waited a little longer before I moved the pen. But I know that when I do that, the filament starts to ball up on the end of the tip, and it just kind of gets frustrating. But I seem to manage alright. Hey, look at that, I'm getting better. Well, not much better, still needs a lot of cleaning up, but hey, it's progress. If you would have seen some of my earlier projects, you would have laughed. They were a total disaster. The piece that I'm holding at the end of this video is not all that great, but see if you can recognize that logo. As always, thank you for watching. I hope it was informative. If you have experience with a 3D pen, be sure to share your experience in the comments below, and we'll see you again next time.